Now far-right nutters want to boycott Chick-fil-A. And the first paragraph of this is what really got me. I feel like this is the most unbiased thing I've ever read, and I think Chris will agree with me here. Um, it begins with ultra right wing pundits have gone ballistic over fast food chain Chick-fil-A hiring a director of diversity who just so happens to be black. Conservative blowhards unleash their frustration with the company. Um, I don't know about you, Chris, but I think that sounds pretty neutral.
Absolutely. I mean,
Oh, so neutral.
I remember a time in this country where there used to be a stereotype around something that, you know,
Yeah,
that,
it's
that now,
crazy.
now people are upset. Weird.
I apparently we're just conservative blowhards if we're at least a little bit, uneasy about that idea, though.
Yeah. I mean, it,
And nutters.
those diversity nutters. I mean, oh wait, are the conservatives the nutty ones, or clear?
They say we're the nutty ones, but
Oh,
I feel like everyone's the same. We're very inclusive here, and so we believe that everybody's on the same, level here. So everyone's just a nutter at this point. I can't. I hate saying that so much.
well, I mean, I have my opinions about you, but
Well, of course, everybody does. It's only fair. So I know you had some lines in this article that you
oh,
particularly enjoyed. Why don't you share those?
I was going through this article and there's a couple that just blew me away. There's a political strategist, Joe Managrino,
Yeah, he tweeted
who
about it.
went on a little, and I'll say this is a bit unhinged. I don't know if he was trolling. I don't know if he meant any of it, but he went on a little rant. And one of these things there, and again, this is credit to him, not me. Uh, a quote was, "It's only a matter of time until they start putting tranny semen in the frosted lemonade at this point." Now,
I mean, that's just a thought that you don't want. Like it's a joke. It's got to be a joke, but the thought behind that, it makes you not want anything frosted anymore.
but tweets like this,
Yeah, that's
it
the problem.
makes me understand why anyone would say far right nutters. I mean,
Ultra right wing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I get that entirely, but it's clearly he's being hyperbolic.
oh, absolutely. Um, I personally have never had Chick-fil-A. I know you
I
have.
love Chick-fil-A. I freaking love Chick-fil-A. Like, I remember after I went to that drag show, I told you guys on the phone I was gonna go get Jesus chicken because I needed to, like, repent my sins. And I love Chick-fil-A. Their chicken's very good. They're so good. And I don't know if this is one of those times where I would say I'm going to boycott a company. I think that a lot of places have HR departments that have some type of DEI, but the fact we're calling it that, I think, is the problem that conservatives have. It's not just another HR thing, it's like a whole department. I think that's where conservatives have an issue. But for me, is it going to make me stop eating their chicken? I don't know.
I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to stop me from eating it because I never did. Personally, I prefer my chicken smoked and barbecued,
I
but
prefer mine with Jesus.
hey, as long as you enjoy it, right?
It's so good. It's so good. I don't know what it is. It's just
Oh, you're not the first person that's told me. Maybe I'm missing out. Maybe I'm not.
It's
you
gotta be
are.
the Chick-fil-A sauce, in my opinion.
The
Well,
Chick-fil-A sauce. So
may, may,
good.
maybe it will have to go buy some Chick-fil-A here
You
sometime.
know what? That's what we'll do when we finally can all three be in person together. We'll do an episode where we're eating Chick-fil-A. That'll be like our first oh, my neighbor just okay. That'll be our first, sorry. I can see out my window. I was watching a duck earlier. You guys obviously, if you know me, you know my duck tripod. But my neighbor just walked by staring really intensely at me, so that was weird. But yeah,
Well,
I think we should all have Chick-fil-A and put that on our Patreon, which we can introduce. We can introduce our Patreon today.
oh hey, we have a Patreon now, guys. It
We're
will
working on
be
content to put there, but
it will be a link in our video here, along with finding on the YouTube page or on Twitter. Right now, we have three tiers, and there's no distinction between the three. Let's be honest. We are planning some content to differentiate
yep.
them, but if you want to give, great. If you don't, We completely understand.
We
We just
also will
talked.
judge you.
We
No, I'm kidding.
we
I'm
just
kidding. I'm kidding. Kidding.
we just talked to some people and got some feedback, and they asked why we didn't. So
So
after
yeah, maybe you'll get videos of Chris trying Chick-fil-A. You might get videos of me going on unhinged rants that can't necessarily be posted to YouTube. Maybe we're going to get content of Derek saying something bad about Iowa for the first time. You never know what you're going to get in these
That's never gonna
situations.
happen. That
uh,
you're better at a fourth
Okay.
tier for $500, and maybe I consider it.
Maybe he'll say something bad, but we all have something we can bring to the Patreon section, is my point.
I'm
And we
looking
all
forward.
will at some point.
I'm looking forward to the one where Derek's trying on the tuck-friendly swimsuits.
Yeah, I can't wait for that, which we're going to get into later in our podcast today. So make sure you guys are staying tuned for that because that's going to be a wonderful segment. And I'm sure Derek has so much to say on that as our resident tuck friendly friend. So
I feel attacked, but continue on.
that's what they always say. So moving on, check out our Patreon if you can. We'd really appreciate it. Going back to our topic today, obviously there's a lot of news articles surrounding this, and we have a few articles that are kind of we're poking fun at, obviously, like this one from the New Republic. It is another great one. Now, this is probably my favorite headline, I will say. This one is called "Conservatives Are Now Boycotting Chick-fil-A for Not Being Homophobic Enough." Wow. And then they open up with this beautiful line saying Bud Light apparently went too far after influencer Dylan Mulvaney, who was transgender, posted an Instagram video promoting a March Madness contest. Target apparently went too far by selling shirts with rainbows. And now conservatives are setting their brain poisoned sights on Chick-fil-A for the crime of having an HR department. So there's a lot to unpack in that statement.
Yeah,
No one has a problem with the rainbow.
I'm most mad that they said it was the rainbow shirts, not the tuck-friendly.
Well, you see, Chris, that would be too truthful for them to post, and so they can't do that. That would be real reporting, and they don't do that at some of these outlets. And
I,
so,
I forgot. It's my old age.
yeah, how dare you, you bigot?
But,
Yeah, it's because you're from the Stone Age. You don't remember these things. It's okay, it happens, but
but we will talk more about that one specifically a little bit later because uh, there is
yeah.
more to talk about.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, Bud Light went too far with Dylan Mulvaney. Well, yes. I mean, they've lost between Target, Dylan Mulvaney, what, $28 billion in value between the two companies.
yep.
Yeah, that was too far. I mean, and the people are speaking with their money. They're not supporting the brand at this time. And honestly, I don't think they should.
And you know what? As a woman, I will say that the Bud Light ad, I didn't have a problem with the fact it was a transgender person. I had a problem that it was a caricature of what a woman is, and it was this ditzy. I thought we were all just having a bad month, and I didn't think March Madness was sport ball related. Like, that's what I had a problem with. I had a problem with this caricature of the dumb woman not understanding sports. And if you don't know what March Madness is, like, I'm sorry, but you live under a rock. Even people who are not very much involved in watching sports know what March Madness is. We're not stupid. And so for me, that's what pissed me off so much was that it wasn't just, okay, here's this, like, here's an ad with, it's not that Dylan is a transgender person. It's that Dylan is someone who likes to mock womanhood and then use that same exact type of behavior to mock women with this ad. And I don't know any women, and I don't know any, really quite frankly, men at this point who pick up a Bud Light and say, you know what? Now that Dylan Mulvaney sponsored this, that's my drink of choice.
Yeah, I mean, what's going to be next? Staying with the topic here, this is about Chick-fil-A. Trying to compare these different brands to Chick-fil-A. I mean, comparatively, Chick-fil-A didn't do anything nearly this extreme.
Yep.
Reading the articles, I mean, this person was set in place as their executive VP back in September, and he's actually been working in the DEI stuff since 2020 for Chick-fil-A. So
It's just that they released that statement or whatever with Pride Month looming over us, with the Dylan Mulvaney ad, with the Target stuff. I think everything came at the perfect time for this to be a bad decision on Chick-fil-A's part. The releasing of a statement, the way that it got, the buzz around this entire issue in general, I think really prompted it to be a bigger issue.
oh, absolutely. And we all know, as you're closing out May, heading into June, companies are going to do this. And it's the biggest dog whistle there is. Hey,
Yeah.
look at us. We support you. We support you.
But only the
Well,
American versions of the companies, not the Middle Eastern versions of the companies. My favorite is like Volkswagen. Middle East won't change it, but Volkswagen, their page will change it. That's kind of stuff. So of course it's very Western.
a lot of brands last summer that got called out. I can't remember all of them. Volkswagen was certainly one of them.
A lot of car companies, like GE. I think General Electric was one of them, right?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
interesting to me. You see this happen with stuff going to China too, movies in particular. They'll do all these things to bend over backwards to get their stuff in those countries, but here, no, you're stuck with it. It's got to stay in.
I think
gotta be
for
woke.
the Chinese one, I think the two most prolific posters think I saw was the Black Panther and Star Wars ones where they took out the black characters off the
Yep.
posters. So.
Oh yeah,
Because believe it or not, they're actually kind of racist compared to Americans who generally don't care about that kind of stuff unless you are involved in those communities in which you have to make yourself a victim.
well, victimhood is really in this year.
Sure is. That's all I'll say there is sure is, because I don't want to make the segment longer than it needs to be. Again, this is like paywall content. You can get these actual, maybe longer segments of me talking about this kind of stuff. But if we want to go over and read that DEI
Yeah, but
thing.
before we move on from that, yeah, I'll give you a little blurb from their DEI. Chick-fil-A Inc. is an equal opportunity employer that values diversity, equity, and inclusion. We make employment decisions on a non-discriminatory basis and remain committed to maintaining work environments free from any form of harassment. It has been and shall continue to be our policy that we do not discriminate in decisions or tolerate any harassment based upon sex, race, color, religion, national origin, ancestry, citizenship, pregnancy, age, physical and mental disability, genetic information, marital status, medical condition, sexual orientation, gender, gender identity, gender expression, military and veteran status, and or any other status classification or factor protected by federal, state, or local law. I mean, honestly,
So,
at this point, what is the any other
yeah, can
classification?
you just tell us what the any other is? Because that's more important to me. Like, and I feel like, again, this is the problem with DEI departments is they push this stuff. They push the microaggression stuff. They push all of it. I don't have a problem with being, inclusive when it comes to certain, like disabilities and stuff we've always seen. Things we've always seen where you can't discriminate against these certain things. Every company has that. But not every company has a designated person to run a diversity, equity, and inclusion department.
Well,
That's the difference.
reading the statement where they literally had every possible combination of group, people, everything. It reminds me of at a job I had once where I was a shift supervisor, and the previous supervisor would always, here's the end of shift report, here's what we did, here's what we need to have happen, make the day and the week progress as it's supposed to. And everything that needed to be done, or in their mind needed to be done, they would highlight on them. And that's not normally a problem. Oh, hey, this is a priority. But the problem is everything they put on there was highlighted. I'm like,
Yeah, they highlight the whole page.
it does me no good. If everything's highlighted, then nothing is.
I used to be very bad about that. When they'd be like, highlight what's important in your textbooks, and I would just be highlighting the whole page. Because I'm like, maybe I'll need this one day. I'm much better about it now, but that used to be something I was guilty of. But, you learn that there's differences in what's important and what's not, and what might need worked on and what doesn't need to be worked on.
Oh, absolutely.
This is a great example.
I was very much the opposite. I highlighted nothing, and when I was studying for a test, and this is the type of test I absolutely loved, hey, we'll let you use your notes or your textbook to take this
Oh
test.
yeah, open book.
And it was always a trap because, I mean, you'd have people, they would be spending so much time searching for the answer that they already knew, believe it or not. They were
Oh yeah,
searching for
because you
the
want to make
answer
sure.
that they would waste so much time they want to actually complete the test. Whereas
Yeah.
I didn't take notes and I didn't open the book once. I was done in 10, 15 minutes. And I was able to sit there and take a nap.
I'm a very fast test taker. People have always been pissed off about that. Like when like in high school and then in college too, I'd always be like the first one to be done with my exam and leave. And people were like, how do you, and I'm like, because I just know it. I'm not going to sit here like, what are you thinking about? Like, how do you, if you're thinking about it, you don't know the answer that like immediately searching the files in your brain as opposed to just being like, oh, I know this. Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, and test taking 101. If you don't know the answer, the second you realize you don't know the answer, move to the next question.
yeah. And then go back to it at the end.
Yeah, you will. The answer will come to you. Your brain is an amazing.
Yeah.
It can do multiple things at
Yeah.
once. Maybe not Derek's, but
But
for
ours
most
can.
of us. For most of us.
Sorry, Derek.
Hey, I'm on the same boat as you, Olivia. I was actually one of the first ones always done with my tests too.
Did you get good grades?
I always got good grades on my tests. Not on the homework though.
Okay, but you did tell us that your grades weren't great before. So I am a good test taker because I can take important information, study it, and regurgitate it. And that's the education system that we have. So anyways, going back onto our topic, because you guys will find we will go on tangents on this podcast. And so we make no apologies. It's who we are. But, and you know, this is the month of loving who you are and embracing it. So I'm just going to stick with that.
And to be honest, that's what this type of podcast is all about. We don't want it to be all serious all the time because there are podcasts out there exactly for that purpose.
It's not us.
We want to be real with what we're saying. We want to tie it to our personal experiences and see where those things line up. So, yes, more tangents, please.
I did mention though that we are turning this month also into Dinosaur Month. So, just putting that out there.
Yeah, that's true. You did say that.
Dinosaur Month.
Go ahead and explain that for me because I don't think I heard that one.
Well, it's a month to celebrate dinosaurs in the month of June. We picked this month.
It's
to
just
celebrate
it's just
dinosaurs.
Dinosaur Month.
It's Dinosaur Month.
You know how some days are like the day to recognize some really obscure, stupid thing? Well, Derek has decided to hop on the bandwagon and make this Dinosaur Month instead of just Pride Month because that's apparently what the cool and trendy thing is to do now. So
so
he's just hip. He's one of the hip kids.
I am one of the hip kids, and my favorite dinosaur is the T-Rex.
Swaggy.
So tell me what your favorite dinosaur is.
Okay, that's basic. That's basic.
Yeah,
you
but
don't look like a good Stegosaurus.
I have another one, but I can't say its name.
Well, then obviously.
It's inappropriate. The disappointment on my face. I'm like, is it inappropriate? Yeah.
All right. Before it goes inappropriate here, anything else to add to this, Olivia?
No. I just think it is being blown out of proportion, but I also understand the frustration with companies we've deemed to be safe from wokeism starting to have those first signs of turning woke because there's always a small tipping point where you see, and DEI is one of those departments where you start to see that change. So I understand where the concern comes from, but I do think it's over-exaggerated.
In this case, I absolutely think so. They haven't changed their business model. They haven't done anything outwardly that makes me believe that they're going to pull a Target or a Bud Light.
Mm-hmm.
But it is something to keep an eye on.